Hello everyone, good afternoon. Father David here, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. This is your 12 noon day prayers. Today is the 4th of February. In case you're watching this at a different time and you don't want to mix up the dates. This is Thursday. We'll take about 10 minutes or so total. A little devotional from my end, and then also a little prayer time for all of us to do together. I'd like to share with you all something from my past, a learning that came to me from a long time ago, and universalize it out to you all, because I think it's has a universal principle to it. It was a long time ago, when in my 30s, and I just gone through a breakup, relationship breakup. I was talking to a counselor. The counselor says that everybody, when they're looking to find a relationship, they have a lot of control over the kind of person they pick. But it's not the kind of control you might be thinking of. The control is this: everybody has a pattern or an outcome or a result that's kind of already programmed into their psyche, into what they are expecting. So for instance, from early on, we develop what we expect in a relationship. A lot of it comes from the parents and the things we've witnessed and the patterns we've seen on the front end. So if your parents or your parent related to people in a certain way, then you will expect that when you go out to create and make the next relationship for yourself. That's not a lot of tricky understanding there. That's just you get what you're expecting, and you're expecting because it's what you've experienced. This is how, to use the easy example, the boilerplate, template example. If you were raised in a alcoholic or substance abuse family, the chances of you picking a partner who has the same illness is pretty high, because it's what you expect. And then you'll go out and find a person who maybe unconsciously, unconscious to you, but you'll find someone who is like the alcoholic or the substance abuser that you grew up with. You pick it yourself. You choose it because that's what you expect in a relationship. On the other hand, ironically enough, because that pattern and your expectation of the relationship is so strong, even if you do not, you try not to choose, consciously, you say, I'm not going to pick anyone who's like my parents or like my dad or like my mom. Even if you try to say, I'm not going to do it, you might choose someone who is not a substance abuser. But a part of you still thinks that's the way things are supposed to be. You have that expectation almost burned into your psyche, it's a scar in there. And so you can provoke that person. You can provoke and draw out of that person the same characteristics of a substance abuser, even if they are not using or drinking or addictive at all. Somehow you'll find a way to make it happen, because that's what you expect and that's what you know, and at some level that's what you want, even though you're at a rational level you would never do that. So the first thing is, you can pick someone who is the pattern you expect. You can provoke it out of a person because that's what you expect. And finally, if all else fails, we can project it onto the person. So they're not alcoholic, they're not substance abuser. You've picked a sober person and an emotionally, healthy person, and they're so healthy you can't even provoke addictive behaviors out of them although unconsciously you're trying to make them the way your parents were. But when all else fails, you'll simply give up and project your expectations, what you want, onto them as if they were a blank screen. And the person can just be sitting there, and you'll project onto them your expectations and hopes that are part of the patterns that you want because you've seen it in the past. So I found that such a powerful analogy when it comes to choosing partners, that there's a pattern and an expectation that's built in, and you have to really be very conscious and aware of what the expectations are. Because you can pick the circumstance that matches your expectation. You pick. The second one is you can create in some ways and provoke and instigate what you expect out of the situation, the circumstances. Or the circumstances can be completely different, but psychologically you will project what you want and what you expect onto reality. And I find that's true. It's not just for picking partners, but the expectations we have in many situations in life. The expectations we bring actually create the reality. Because we will choose that reality, or we will instigate or create that reality, or reality can stay the same, but we're going to, in our own minds and hearts, see it and interpret it the way we want to see it. So all that is to say, be very careful and look inward and look carefully at what your expectations are for life. Look carefully at what you expect to happen. Because one way or another, you have the power to make it happen. So, it might be a little heavy for 12 noon. Usually we're a little lighter here. But I'm going to do the best I can during the rest of my day. Just, be aware how much I am creating and participating in situations that are there, and how much I'm making them happen myself. By either picking it, or provoking it, or projecting it. Well, thanks for listening. Let's go to our prayer time. This is the time when we go to our true self. When we get to a clearer place, a more centered place. It's a way to clear our minds and clear our hearts, really get rid of the cachet of cookies that have built up over the length of time. We're going to empty the cachet and start with a clean slate again. So let's begin. I'll play the video for us, and we'll participate in this breath prayer. Cleanse your palate, recenter, and reboot your mind.
For many of us, this moment feels chaotic and terribly stressful. Join us for a few moments to turn inward and connect to your innermost you. Gently close your eyes and feel the gentleness of breath inside your body as you repeat these words. My deepest me is love. My deepest me is whole. My deepest me is limitless. My deepest me is infinite. My deepest me is compassion. My deepest me is sacred. My deepest me is mystery. My deepest me is forgiveness. My deepest me is beauty. My deepest me is God. My deepest me has knowledge to give. I open my heart and listen.
Well, thank you all for taking a few minutes of your noonday hour to pray together and pray with me. Go out to the rest of your day with the image of Christ shining out of your hearts. And God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven through us. So, have a good rest of the day. There'll be evening prayers coming up at 7:30. And this is our last broadcast for this week, as it's Thursday. It's the end of the week for us. Next time you can see me in person will be online on Sundays for sermons and communion. And that's at 8:30 in the morning and 11 o'clock. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Take care of yourselves.